Imagine investing in these superstars before they ever broke out. This is the place. This is where you come to know who to invest in on Mojo, the sports stock market. So make sure you tap in. The Opening Bell, hosted by Ray GQ and your boy Jay Rich. Let's make some money.
Welcome into the Opening Bell. It's your boy Ray G, joined as always by my man Jay Rich. Happy New Year, everybody out there. All you Mojo users, welcome to 2023. And what a great time to kick off the year. Then investing in some Daniel Jones. We told you to go long Daniel Jones. Back in October on this show, we said that Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll, we trust, go long Daniel Jones. And in week 17, they solidified their first playoff berth since the infamous boat party picture with OBJ and Trey Songz and Sterling Shepard. They're in. Giants are in the playoffs. Daniel Jones, phenomenal game, almost 200 passing, 2 touchdowns through the air. He also had 91 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns as well, 3,200 yards on the season, 700 rushing yards. There are already reports that the Giants are going to offer him a multi-year contract extension. Daniel Jones, Jay, this is the guy. We're just jumping right in the damn show because I want to talk about players that are going to make you some money. Daniel Jones, we said it 2 months ago, 3 months ago, go long Daniel Jones. And what's happened, Jay?
Feels crazy. Daniel Jones has been great this year. You know, we came into the year pretty low expectations. Everyone wanted Brian Daboll to be the guy who really took him to the next level. And we have to give credit to Daniel Jones as well, right? A coach can come in, he can coach him up and do what he can do, but someone still has to put the product and play on the field, and that player is Daniel Jones. I think every bit of his extension that he's going to get this offseason will be earned, and I love him staying on the Giants. He's done more with less, in my opinion, than a lot of other quarterbacks in the league. And so you think about them potentially adding players to his arsenal to make this offense even better, more potent, more prolific, with Saquon Barkley, with Isaiah Hodgins and Richie James, who are nothing in terms of the receiver landscape. Adding players to that offense will only make them even better. And I think I have a lot of faith in Daniel Jones to really return a lot of value. You know, I believe he only has around $10 of value left based on where his current price is. And at that level, you just have to think with the extension, with multiple seasons, not just 1 or 2 seasons. I think Daniel Jones is going to have 2.5 to 3 years of runway with this new extension, with this new regime, and with Brian Daboll only continue to get better. People talked about the turnaround for Josh Allen. It's not quite as severe as we've seen for Daniel Jones, but this guy literally came from the dead in New York, and everyone in New York should be extremely happy that they have Daniel Jones as their quarterback, because the way things are looking right now, you don't want the Russell Wilsons or the Matt Staffords. You want Daniel Jones for the long term for your franchise. He may not be the gunslinger that you're looking for in a superstar quarterback, but he's playing on an extremely high level and getting it done for an offense that really only has 2 weapons, and that's Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley.
Well, what we're going to see, Jay, and the backup quarterback theory, I'm telling you, Mojo, y'all need to chop that up. The best piece of advice that anybody has given out over here on Mojo this season, I wholeheartly believe the backup quarterback theory, Jay. And since Mojo's so new, like, you're the first person to coin this thing, man. Like, it has been tried and true. It has been proven this year. It works. What I'm interested in seeing happens, Jay, is the contract theory. Like, I want to see, because right now, if you look at Daniel Jones, over the course of a week, he's up 3%. Over the course of a month, he's up 6%. Over the last 24 hours, he's up 1.85%. So not huge gains, but I still wonder if people are like, they might draft a quarterback. I don't know. Like, they could replace him. I wonder how his Mojo value will be impacted by the contract extension. What if the Giants give him like a 4-year deal, a 3-year deal, fully guaranteed, $120 million, whatever it is, and he's locked in to being the starting quarterback. They take that, mid-20 pick in the NFL draft, and they draft Jackson Smith-Njigba. They draft Jordan Addison out of USC. I wonder how all of that will impact his value. What I do know is I don't see any world in which it goes down. Now, and then you never know. They get in the playoffs, and what if they win a game? What if they win their first playoff game in years? Like, I'm very interested in this player and the type of return that you can get going long Daniel Jones right now. And I would be the same way I was comfortable going long on Daniel Jones in October. I feel even better about it here in January.
Yeah, man, he just proved that he deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And part of that is the coaching staff, and part of that is the regime and the players around him. But like you said, if he gets this extension, that's more confidence in the long-term value of Daniel Jones. I think it goes up. If he wins a playoff game, Ray, the hysteria in New York and in New Jersey, like it's gonna be crazy. They were calling for this guy's head. They said even still, maybe he shouldn't be the quarterback long term. We talked about it. They could replace him, but they're playing well. Now they've played their way. To me, there's no way. There's no way. They've played their way out of it. Daniel Jones has shown enough. I think you have to ride with him going forward. And I don't think he's going to be that expensive. You know, the reason why you go after a rookie quarterback is because you have a great team that you built around and you want to build for the future and you need that cheap contract. I don't think you need that. I think Daniel Jones isn't a guy who's going to command $40, $50 million a year. He's a quarterback who you probably get for a reasonable deal because they know that, or he knows that he's only so valuable to that franchise and that Brian Dable and Saquon Barkley are equally as valuable. So for me, I think going long makes a lot of sense. And if the value is where it is right now, I believe he's still cheaper than Baker Mayfield. Like, I know Baker Mayfield's had a slightly more fruitful career in terms of bank mojo value, but I just trust Daniel Jones, man. I think he's shown enough. A whole season now, it's hard not to believe in what he's been doing.
Listen, and we don't, so far, during the season, we really wanted to focus on the FANG stocks in the Mojo market, which I believe are the quarterbacks, right? That's where I believe those are the ones, like the quarterbacks, right? You get those big value bumps. But I do think there's a wide receiver on the Giants that I'm comfortable investing in as well. And that's been Daniel Jones is one of his favorite targets, Isaiah Hodgins, at $2.35. Right now, he's up 6.41% over the last 24 hours and about 6.4% over the last week. Hodgins, big guy, Oregon State product. He's come in. He's shown tremendous rapport with Daniel Jones. I do believe that they are going to draft a wide receiver in the first round of the NFL draft to pair with him, or maybe they try to trade for a guy, T. Higgins potentially, who knows? But I do think Isaiah Hodgins is a player that's going to have a role on this Giants team moving forward. He's earned that. He's played damn good ball. And at $2.35, I'm okay in going long Isaiah Hodgins right now. You can go long him. If you throw anything on him, you get a 2x multiplier on Isaiah Hodgins, and I probably would do that. Now, I want to stay in New York because I want to talk about players in the great states in which Mojo is currently available. And let's talk about your boy. You have been pumping up old Mike White all season, Jay Rich, all season. And right now, Mike White, over the last 24 hours, is down 10%. He did not look good in the game on Sunday. He did not look good at all versus Seattle. Had 2 picks. They lost the game. The Jets are eliminated from playoff contention. Where do we go with the Jets quarterback? Where do we go with the Jets quarterbacks? Do you want any of them? Do you want to go long any of them? You could have shorted Mike White, last week. I believe we kind of talked about that. Do you want any of them? Zach Wilson, Mike White, is there a Jets quarterback that you want? And if you had to put it out there right now, put on your hat, get the crystal ball, who quarterbacks this team in 2023?
Do I want any quarterbacks right now, Ray? Easy answer. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Mike White, 23 for 46, 2 picks, 4 sacks, QBR of 12.2. That's not going to get it done. No. Hasn't thrown a touchdown since he played Chicago like 4 weeks ago now. Okay, no. Zach Wilson's not the answer. Is he gone, though? I don't know. Who's going to be the quarterback next year? I think it could be Derek Carr, right? I think he's the most likely candidate, the most qualified quarterback of all the quarterbacks who, maybe you say that Jimmy Garoppolo was more qualified because he went to the Super Bowl, he's won a ton of games. But, I still think that if they're going to shoot for the moon, they're going to probably go after Derek Carr if Derek Carr does leave. So that's kind of where I would place my bets. Now, again, does that mean he's going to be a perfect fit for the system? Different conversation, because Jimmy Garoppolo does fit the system. He's played in the same system. So I think that there is some parallels there, and Saleh would trust him. Would Derek Carr have the same trust with Saleh? I don't know, but there is no way in hell you can possibly trust any of the players who quarterback for the Jets right now. It has to be an outside hire, and I think that's the best move for their franchise.
Put it on. So Derek Carr, is that the quarterback of the Jets next year?
I think it has to be. They have the money, right? They're not paying anybody to be a big franchise quarterback. But again, Carr needs to be cut or restructured or traded. Or I'm pretty sure they can cut him if they want to. The Raiders can, but we'll see what they move that. They dismissed him. He went home, and they almost won a game against the Niners. But back to the Jets, I think it could be him. Could be Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see how it's anybody else. They have a team that is ready to contend. I wouldn't say they're ready to win, but they do have a good roster with a lot of good players and another, mid-first draft pick that can get them another really good player. I think they do have a shot to do some things. They need a quarterback, and Mike White and Zach Wilson are just not the answer.
Well, can we stick with the backup quarterback theory and talk about Jarrett Stidham and the Las Vegas Raiders losing a nail biter? The most exciting game, in my opinion, on the slate so far. We've got Buffalo and Cincy tonight, which we all think is going to be a great game. Excited as hell for that one. Excited, Jay. I started this thing this week where my wife and I, for the first week of 2023, we are going meatless. So pray for me. No meat, no chicken, no beef, no nothing. I don't know where that came from, but I just want to let you know that as we go into 2023, no meat in 2023. So I'll be watching the game, eating tofu bites, watching the Bengals and the Bills. Well, let's talk about the most exciting game up to this game, the Raiders and the San Francisco 49ers. We had two backup quarterbacks. Both of these two, Jay, all I want to do on Mojo is just buy backup quarterbacks. Go long backup quarterbacks. Because Brock Purdy and Jarrett Stidham. Jay, let's play a little game here. Let's talk Brock Purdy first. How much over the past month do you think Brock Purdy's value has increased on Mojo? In a month?
At least 100%. At least.
Nope. Higher.
150%.
Higher.
200%.
Higher.
Stop it. 250%.
212%.
Wow. What's his multiplier?
Brock Purdy. 212% over the last month, 19% over the last week. So even if you thought, I missed the boat, Brock Purdy can't keep doing it, 19% over the past week. Past 24 hours, 4% on Brock Purdy, and you could supercharge that with the 2x multiplier. Jay, I think you have unlocked the key on Mojo. Now, the question is, which backup quarterback do you invest in? Maybe you just look around at the NFL and look at what starters are fringy, kind of shaky, not very good. But, Brock Purdy, Jay, the San Francisco 49ers, they've got three quarterbacks on the roster, and some part of that 49er fan base thinks that all three of them should be the starters. Some people are saying Brock Purdy needs to keep being the starter. I'm hearing Trey Lance is the starter. He should be, right? Some people are saying bring back Jimmy Garoppolo. He should be the starter. Brock Purdy, they have a real chance at being the number one seed, Jay. And my question to you is, I know it feels like the ship has already left the station or the train has left the station, but I think they're going to go deep in the playoffs. And if that happens, I think we can see Purdy's value continue to rise. Like, is he somebody that you're willing to invest in with their pending playoff schedule, their stretch, and what he can do and the value he could return you with a strong performance? What if Brock Purdy leads his team to the Super Bowl, Jay?
Ray, you're making some good points. Brock Purdy up 200%, and we're talking about still buying him. What he's done with this roster has been great. You talk about Kyle Shanahan, QB guru. This is what he's labeled as. But Brock Purdy, 4-year starter at Iowa State, he's played well, and you can't take any of that away from him. Would I buy him now? Maybe.
I want to.
Still there. They're still there. They're not going anywhere. They have a great roster. You talked about it. All they need is the Eagles to lose, and for them to win, they have the number one seed. So it's looking good. It's looking good. I would consider it. I think you could make the case for Jarrett Stidham potentially, because another good game from Jarrett Stidham, and he's probably going to go up another 30%.
Well,
you threw for 365 yards, 3 touchdowns. You throw 2 picks. One of them was late, and rushed 34 yards on the ground. I like Brock Purdy, but if Jarrett Stidham's like $3, Ray, it's kind of hard not to invest in Jarrett Stidham.
Stiddy, $295. He's up 61% over the last 24 hours. When you talk about this is called gap up, right? If you play in the market, if you dabble in the market, you wake up, the stock exchange opens up, and then all of a sudden, wherever your bar is, it just jumps up, or unless you got to put, it goes down. But gap up, gap down. Jarrett Stidham gapped up 61%. I'd be sitting back right now. The market is open, Jay, and I'm just counting that money, baby. I'm just counting that Stidham money. Over the last week, Jay, in this, I don't believe we knew 8 days ago that Derek Carr was getting released or benched. I don't know whatever's happening, right? He's getting 97% on Stiddy over the last week. Over the last month, so somebody invested in Stidham at some point. 102% over the last month. If he has a good game here, the last game, I don't believe he's going to be some starter next year. I think what's going to happen is the Raiders are going to draft a quarterback, but could he be a bridge guy? Could he? This one is a little more risky for me than chasing Brock Purdy, because the thing is, I know Brock at least has another game or two potentially with the playoffs, right? I know he's got another game. And if he does well enough to manage that team to a Super Bowl, his value is going to keep climbing. So if I had to pick between one of the two, and we're talking about Brock Purdy, he ain't even just a backup quarterback. He's a third-string quarterback, right? If I had to pick one of the two to go long and invest in, it would be Brock Purdy. Would not go long Stidham, but I also wouldn't short him either.
Yeah, I don't think you can short Stidham because he's just looked so good. And people need to remember that Stidham isn't a quarterback who's just a backup. He was playing under McDaniel in New England for years. And so Josh McDaniels brought him over. And so when he started, I was like, oh, that's not good for Devontae Adams. And then Devontae Adams comes out 7 for 153 and 2 and looking like one of the best receivers in football again, where Derek Carr couldn't get him the ball. So that's where it's like, I'm totally with you. You look at the offense and the team and you want to ride with the Niners because they're on a crash course for the Super Bowl at this point. They're playing. Nick Bosa sealed that game in overtime for them. Obviously there was a pick on the other end, but he's the one who generated the pressure. You have Brandon Ayuk playing an elite level. Christian McCaffrey looking like the best running back in football. Brock Purdy, all he has to do is manage the game. And he made some mistakes in this one. This is probably one of the worst games he's played so far. And he still was good enough to get the victory. Still put up 37 points. So credit to the Niners, credit to Brock Purdy. He's probably going to continue to ascend. And that's why I think, to your point, you could make the case he can go up. But I think Stidham can compete for this job next year. There is nobody ahead of him if they get rid of Derek Carr. They may bring in a quarterback, but it may not be a first-round pick quarterback. You never know. And if McDaniels likes Stidham enough to bench Derek Carr, to bring him from New England, maybe there's something here. But the problem for me is that next season, if Carr's out, I think Adams is out too. And that is really bad news for Jarrett Stidham.
I forgot that Stidham was with McDaniels in New England.
He brought him over, right? So I think it's Stidham's probably third year in the league now. And he was drafted. Remember, he's the guy who got drafted in the 6th round. Tom Brady is like his idol. He wants to be like Tom Brady, right? All those things.
2019, he was a 4th round pick, New England. He's 26 years old. I don't know. It's interesting. I just a little too risky for my investment appetite. I don't think that I would do it. But you could start to paint a picture where I could buy him maybe competing for the job over the summer. But I think the reality is if they let Carr go, they're going to draft a quarterback. If they let Carr go, they're going to draft a quarterback. I believe that's what's going to happen.
Question though for you, because chances are if they get rid of Carr, they probably get rid of Carr before the draft.
Yes.
Which would be a massive rise in stock for Jarrett Stidham because he's the quarterback who started to end the year. And he was the quarterback who just threw for 350 and 3 touchdowns to end the season. So maybe, right to your point, maybe we don't want him through the draft, but he could be a guy that you buy and hold kind of through the offseason. And if heaven forbid he gets through free agency as the starting quarterback, I mean, he's probably going to go up in value quite a bit, right?
You talked me into it because I could see that. And I do remember seeing a report that they would have to make the decision on Derek Carr like right after the season. Like they've got to make that move to cut him, to trade him, to do whatever it is. They would have to do that right after the season. So we would get the he might be the starting quarterback bump. Let that value go up, then cash out, right? If it hits that level to where you feel good. You've talked me into it, Jay. I'm not even gonna ask you who to invest in tonight because I just want to watch and enjoy the game between Buffalo and Cincy. But you've talked me into Jarrett Stidham being this is a lotto ticket, right? This is where you just throw in that naked call or that naked put, and you're just like, expiration this Friday. This is not a long-term investment play. I'm just banking on earnings, something to happen during earnings, and for this thing to go up or down. You talked me into it. We can do a naked call on Jarrett Stidham. We will do a naked call on Jarrett Stidham. Expiration date will be free agency. When's the expiration date?
April 1st.
April 1st expiration date on Jarrett Stidham to see that value rise. Okay, I like that, man. All right, Jay, any other players that you saw this weekend that you want to mention as we go into the offseason. Season's about to be over. A lot of teams hanging it up. Any players out there that you want to talk about really quickly before we get out of here?
Oh, man, do we want to get into Malik Willis and his outlook in the NFL right now?
Can we start 2023 off on a positive note? I mean, let
Okay.
me look at where Willis is right now, first of all. Go ahead. Talk about Malik.
So the problem for Malik, right, is that, Ray, I think we saw Josh Dobbs play Thursday Night Football. So this is, a little bit outdated as terms of football goes because we did have a bunch of games yesterday. But it's just not looking good for him. A guy comes in, 8 days of practice, starts the game, looks way better than Willis. Willis will have to make a lot of improvements. Now, he's probably still pretty low in terms of value. But, you look at the quarterback position, and it's looking like they have no choice but to bring Ryan Tannehill back. And I believe he has a $40 million cap hit. They'll restructure him because his dead cap is only like $10 million. But I just don't know where Malik Willis goes from here if he doesn't improve drastically. And that was kind of one of our fears with him coming in and why we said you invest in him until he starts. Because when he starts, it's not going to be pretty. And that's what we've seen so far. And so my advice to everyone out there, right? It's week 17, week 18. You're going to see a lot of bums play, a lot. And they are going to do nothing come next season, right? We may see Snoop Connor run for a bunch. I mean, not Snoop Connor because he plays on the Jags. The Jags are competing. But we may see some really bad players play this week, and you don't want to get overexcited about them. I'm getting excited about Jarrett Stidham, and we gave you our case as to why, but I wouldn't go crazy because I think there is some guys that will pop up this week when teams don't play everybody that may have good weeks, but won't be long-term assets. So I would just be mindful of that, but we will obviously update you guys on who we do like from those guys who pop up overall. But yeah, Malik Willis is not looking good. Do you want to give me your quick thoughts on Malik and kind of how you feel about him?
It's a wrap. I don't know what you can do with him. You definitely aren't going long on him. I don't even know if I would short him. I mean, I don't even know if there's enough value in there to short him right now. He hasn't banked anything. For me, if we're staying on brand with the young rookies, I do think even though he's down 6.8% over the last 24 hours after winning a game. But Atlanta and Desmond Ridder, he's played better and better the last 2 weeks. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if he's shown enough for them to say, we'll give him a Davis Mills type audition next year. And if, let's say, for instance, they do that and it fails because Atlanta's not going to be picking high enough to get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. They're just not. They're probably not going to be able to get Will Levis. Maybe they're not comfortable taking Anthony Richardson, even though I would kind of like that. But let's just say they're like, we're going to let Desmond Ridder be the guy next year. And if it fails, it'll probably fail so bad that we'll be in a position to draft Drake May or Caleb Williams in 2024. I think Ridder right now at $6.78, you're talking about of the rookie quarterbacks that are priced low. I think he's one that going into the offseason, I can definitely see a world in which Atlanta says, this is our guy for 2023. We're not committing to him any longer than that, but this is our guy in 2023, gets that Davis Mills type treatment. Again, this is an opportunity where his value's down after winning a game, not throwing any picks. He didn't do a ton great, but they won the game, right? They're out of the striking distance for a legit quarterback. Now, there are a lot of rumors about Atlanta trading for Lamar Jackson, so that would crush all these Ridder kind of hopes and dreams. But at $6.78, I'd be fine. I don't know if I'd multiply this one. I'm not going to multiply everyone. I may just put a little money into Ridder, let that sit, let's see how that shakes out. But I think he's one that going into the offseason, I am moderately comfortable, a lot more comfortable investing in Desmond Ridder than I am Malik Willis. I'll tell you that for sure. Sam Howell, maybe you get the backup quarterback bump with Sam Howell if they give him a shot in week 18. But I do think Ridder has that potential to see the value sort of pick up going into 2023. So there it is from Ray, from Jay, over here on the Opening Bell, the Mojo YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to this show, hit that thumbs up button, like it, subscribe. That way, every time dope content drops over here on Mojo, you get that bad boy right to your phone, tablet, however you stream. Make sure you comment below. Let us know what you think about these players this season. The guys that we talked about, Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Mike Jones, Mike White from the Jets, what we do with those quarterback situations. And as always, we will be here next Monday to bring you some dope content. We appreciate you being here for the Opening Bell. Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy Monday Night Football. We're out. Peace.